The ship came out of faster-than-light travel with a soft hum. Kong Tae stood at the window and looked at the massive space station floating in front of them. It was bigger than anything he had ever seen. Lights covered every surface. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it like insects around a hive. "The Galactic Assembly Station," said Yunhana from behind him. She was checking her equipment one last time. 4,000 species. Millions of beings. And we are the new kids. Tae turned to look at her. Hannah was younger than him by 5 years, but she had the eyes of someone who had seen too much. She was his security officer, assigned by Earth's government to keep him safe. But Tae knew she was much more than that. Hannah was a soldier, a fighter, and possibly the most dangerous person he had ever met. "Are you nervous?" he asked. Hannah smiled. "I am always nervous. It keeps me sharp." Their ship docked at a port on the outer ring of the station. When the doors opened, Tae took his first breath of alien air. It smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. The corridor ahead was wide and tall, built to fit creatures of all sizes. A being was waiting for them. It stood on 6 legs and had a body covered in hard plates like an insect. Its head had 2 large eyes and a set of clicking mandibles. It wore a simple robe with symbols that Tae's translator identified as marks of office. "Welcome to the Galactic Assembly," the creature said. Its voice came through the translator as flat and emotionless. "I am Vorin. I am the senior archivist of the Galactic Database. I will be your guide during your first days here." Tae bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Vorin. I am Kong Tae, and this is Yunhana. We are honored to be here." Vorin's mandibles clicked rapidly. Tae was not sure what that meant, but the archivist quickly turned and began walking. "Please follow me. The assembly has prepared a welcome ceremony for your species." They walked through corridors filled with aliens. Tae had studied the reports, but seeing them in person was different. There were tall beings with scales that shimmered like oil on water. There were small creatures that floated through the air on wings made of light. There were massive entities that moved on dozens of legs, and tiny ones that traveled in groups of hundreds. But something was wrong. Tae noticed it first. The aliens were watching them. Not with curiosity, which he had expected. They watched with something else. Something that looked like fear. Groups of beings would stop talking when Tae and Hannah walked past. Some moved to the other side of the corridor. Others turned and walked away entirely. One small creature let out a high-pitched sound and ran into a side passage. Hannah moved closer to Tae. "Are we that ugly?" she whispered. Tae did not answer. He was watching Vorin. The archivist's legs moved faster than before. His body was tense. He did not look back at them. The welcome ceremony was held in a large hall filled with representatives from dozens of species. Tae gave a short speech about peace and cooperation. The aliens listened politely. They clapped at the end using whatever limbs they had. But the feeling of distance remained. No one approached them afterward. No one asked questions. No one invited them to talk. When the ceremony ended, Tae found Vorin standing alone near the exit. "Archivist," Tae said, approaching him. "May I ask you something?" Vorin's eyes shifted. "Of course, Envoy Kong. The other species seem uncomfortable around us. Is there a reason for this?" Vorin was silent for a long moment. His mandibles clicked slowly, one at a time. "You are new," he finally said. "Many species are cautious around newcomers." Tae studied the archivist's body language. He had spent years as a diplomat learning to read people. Vorin was lying. Or at least, he was not telling the whole truth. "I understand," Tae said. "I have another question. I have heard there is something called the Apex Predator Index, a ranking of dangerous species. Is this true?" Vorin's entire body went stiff. His legs locked in place. His mandibles stopped moving completely. "Where did you hear about that?" Vorin asked. His voice was very quiet. "I read about it in the public information files," Tae said. "It seems to be an important part of galactic diplomacy. I'm curious about where humans are ranked." The silence stretched. Tae could hear distant conversations, The hum of machines, the soft sounds of alien feet on the floor. But Vorin said nothing. Archivist. Tay prompted. Vorin took a step backward. Then another. I am sorry, Envoy Kong. I have other duties to attend to. Your quarters are in Section 7. The signs will guide you. He turned and walked away quickly. Too quickly, Hannah appeared at Tay's side. She had been watching from a distance. What did you say to him? I asked about something called the Apex Predator Index, a ranking of killer species, and I asked what rank humans are. Hannah frowned. What did he say? Tay watched Vorin disappear around a corner. The archivist was almost running. He did not answer. He did not say we were ranked low. He did not say we were ranked high. He did not say anything at all. He just ran. Hannah was quiet for a moment. That is not a normal reaction. No, Tay agreed. It is not. They made their way to their quarters in Section 7. The rooms were comfortable and had been designed to match human needs. There was real gravity, proper lighting, and even a window that showed the stars outside. Tay sat down heavily in a chair. His mind was turning over everything that had happened. The fearful looks, the whispered conversations. Vorin's strange behavior. What do you think is going on? Hannah asked. She was checking the room for listening devices. It was a habit she could not break. I do not know, Tay admitted. But I intend to find out how. Tay looked up at her. The archivist would not tell me about the ranking. But he is not the only one who has access to the database. Tomorrow, I am going to find the answers myself. Hannah stopped her search and looked at him. You want to break into their database? Not break in. I have diplomatic clearance. I will simply look for information that should be public. Tay paused. And if it is not public, we will find out why. Hannah smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who enjoyed a good mystery. I like this plan. Tay looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home. His people. They were counting on him to make this mission a success. To bring humanity into the galactic community, but he could not do that if he did not understand why everyone was so afraid of them. Something is wrong here, Hannah, he said quietly. Everyone looks at us like we are monsters. But we have done nothing. We have hurt no one. We just arrived. Hannah sat down across from him. Maybe it is not about what we have done. Maybe it is about what they think we could do. Tay considered this. It was a troubling thought. What did the galaxy know about humans that humans did not know about themselves? He would find out tomorrow. Whatever the answer was, he would face it. He had to. The Great Archive was located at the center of the station. Tay and Hannah walked through crowded corridors until they reached a building made of white stone and glowing crystal. It was beautiful in a cold way, like a temple built by beings who worshipped information instead of gods. Inside, the ceilings rose so high that Tay could not see where they ended. Rows of terminals stretched in every direction, each one designed for a different type of creature. Some had chairs. Some had pools of water. Some hung from the ceiling for species that preferred to work upside down. A small floating sphere greeted them at the entrance. Welcome to the Great Archive. How may I assist you? I am Envoy Kong Tay of Earth, Tay said. I have diplomatic clearance. I would like to access the public databases. The sphere scanned him with a beam of blue light. Clearance confirmed. You may use any public terminal. If you need assistance, simply call for a guide. The sphere floated away. Tay found a terminal designed for beings of his size and sat down. Hannah stood behind him, her eyes moving across the room, watching for trouble. The interface was strange, but not impossible to understand. Tay navigated through menus until he found what he was looking for, the Apex Predator Index. The list appeared on the screen. Tay felt his stomach grow cold as he read it. Rank 1 was something called the Vorn Collective. According to the entry, they were a hive mind species that had consumed 12 star systems before being stopped. They did not conquer. They did not negotiate. They simply ate everything in their path. Entire planets had been stripped of life. Rank 2 was called the Silence. They were beings that had learned to weaponize dying stars. They would trigger supernovas in enemy systems, destroying everything within light years. 3 civilizations had been completely erased before the galaxy united to stop them. Rank 3 was the Drexari. They were reptilian warriors who believed in conquest above all else. Their empire had grown through brutal war. They were still active, still powerful, and still feared. The list continued. Rank after rank of terrible species. Some were extinct. Some were contained. Some were still out there, watching and waiting. Each entry included details about their abilities, their history, and their threat level. Tay scrolled down. Rank 10, rank 20, rank 30. He kept going until he reached the end at rank 50. Humans were not on the list. He searched again, typing human directly into the search bar. The result came back instantly. Entry restricted authorization level, absolute. Tay stared at the screen. Absolute was the highest security level. It was used for information that could destabilize the entire galaxy. Military secrets. Doomsday weapons. Things that could not be trusted to anyone. What does that mean? Hannah asked quietly. It means someone does not want us to see our own file, Tay replied. He tried searching for Earth next. Same result. He tried Sol System, the name of their sun. Same result. Everything related to humanity was locked behind the highest possible security. This made no sense. Even the most dangerous species on the list had public information. The Vorn Collective had pages of data available to anyone. The silence had detailed historical records. But humanity? Not even a footnote. Hannah leaned closer. Can we get around it? Tay shook his head. Not through normal means. This terminal does not have the clearance. Hannah smiled. Then let me try. She pulled out a small device from her pocket. It was a tool that Earth's intelligence services had given her before the mission. Tay had not asked what it could do. He had not wanted to know. Hannah connected the device to the terminal. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. The screen flickered and changed. I cannot break through the main security, she said. But there are backup systems. Archive copies. Fragments that were not protected properly. She worked for several minutes. Tay watched the entrance nervously. If they were caught hacking the Galactic Archive, the diplomatic mission would be over. But he needed to know the truth. Got something, Hannah said. The screen showed a corrupted file. Most of it was unreadable, just broken symbols and garbled text. But some phrases were clear. Tay read them out loud. Initial assessment. Persistence predator. Extreme adaptability. Tribal warfare. He scrolled down. Rapid technological advancement. Domestication of apex fauna. And he found it. One complete sentence, preserved perfectly in the corrupted file. Do not rank. Do not categorize. Do not provoke. Hannah read it over his shoulder. That sounds like a warning. Sounds like fear, Tay corrected. Before they could search further, a shadow fell over them. Tay looked up and found himself face to face with a creature covered in dark green scales. It was tall and muscular, with a head like a crocodile and eyes like burning coals. It wore armor decorated with symbols of rank and achievement. So, the creature said. Its voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. The new arrivals are digging through restricted files. How interesting. Tay stood slowly. I am Envoy Kang Tay of Earth. I was only using the public database. The creature laughed. It was not a friendly sound. I am Drex of the Drexari Empire. Rank 3 on the list you were just looking at. He leaned closer. His breath smelled like rotting meat. And I know exactly what you were searching for. Hannah moved to stand beside Tay. Her posture was calm. But Tay knew she was ready to fight if necessary. Drex noticed her movement and grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. Your bodyguard is brave. I respect that. But she could not hurt me if she tried. I am not trying yet, Hannah said calmly. Drex's eyes narrowed. Then he laughed again. I like you, little human. You have spirit? He turned back to Tay. But I want to know something. Why is your species hiding from the ranking? Are you cowards? Are you afraid to be measured against real predators? Tay kept his voice steady. We are not hiding. We did not even know the ranking existed until yesterday. We did not hide our file. Someone else did. Drex's expression changed. The amusement faded. Something else took its place. Confusion, maybe, or concern. You did not seal your own records? Drex asked. No, we could not have. We only just arrived in the galaxy. We did not have access to any of your systems until today. Drex was silent. His clawed hands opened and closed at his sides. He was thinking, if you did not hide your records, Drex said slowly, then who did? And why? That is exactly what I want to know, Tay replied. Before Drex could respond, another voice spoke. It was soft and musical, like water flowing over stones. I can answer that question. They all turned. A new being had approached without any of them noticing. She was covered in smooth blue skin that shimmered like the surface of an ocean. Her eyes were large and silver without pupils. She moved with a grace that seemed to ignore gravity. I am Lyra, she said, ambassador of the Deep Ones. My people have existed since before most of these species had names. She looked directly at Tay. I know why your records are sealed, human. I know what was written in those files 2,000 years ago. Tay felt his heart beating faster. Will you tell us? Lyra was quiet for a moment. Her silver eyes studied him carefully. Yes, she finally said, but not here. Come to my chambers. I will show you everything. She paused. But I warn you now, you may not like what you learn. Tay looked at Hannah. She nodded. Lead the way, Tay said. As they followed Lyra through the corridors, Drex watched them go. His expression was troubled. For the first time in many years, the rank 3 predator felt something he had. Almost forgotten, he felt afraid. Lyra's chambers were unlike anything Tay had seen on the station. The entire room was filled with water. It glowed with a soft blue light that came from somewhere within the walls. Floating platforms had been provided for air-breathing visitors, connected by bridges that hung above the gentle currents. Tay and Hannah stood on one such platform while Lyra swam in slow circles around them. She was more graceful in the water, more natural. This was her true home. My people remember things that others have forgotten, Lyra began. Her voice traveled perfectly through the water and air. We were old when the first starships flew. We were old when the Galactic Assembly was formed. And we remember when your species was first discovered. Day leaned forward. When was that? 2,000 of your years ago, Lyra said. By galactic standards, that is recent. But for your people, it was ancient history. Your kind lived in small settlements. You had just discovered how to mix metals to make stronger tools. Bronze, you call it. It's the Bronze Age, Tay murmured. He had studied Earth's history. 2,000 years ago would place the discovery around the time of ancient civilizations. Before Rome. Before most of recorded history. A scouting team was sent to your world, Lyra continued. They were scientists, researchers. Their job was to study new species and decide if they should be contacted. They watched your people for 200 of your years. 200 years? Hannah asked. That is a long time to just watch. It is standard practice, Lyra explained. Many species burn bright and then destroy themselves. Others grow peaceful and wise. The assembly wanted to know which path humanity would take. She stopped swimming and floated in place, her silver eyes fixed on Tay. What they found terrified them. Oh. The water rippled. A holographic display appeared in the air above them. It showed images of Earth, ancient Earth. Tay recognized some of the landscapes, but the people were different. They wore primitive clothing and carried simple weapons. Your scientists classified humans as persistence predators, Lyra said. Do you know what that means? Tay nodded slowly. We chase our prey. We do not need to be faster. We just need to keep going until the prey cannot run anymore. Yes, most predators in the galaxy rely on speed or strength or venom. They strike quickly and then rest. But humans are different. You chase, and you do not stop ever. The scouting team watched humans track animals for days across open ground. They watched humans walk until their prey collapsed from exhaustion. They had never seen anything like it. The hologram changed. It showed humans in battle. Tay recognized the style of warfare from his history studies, tribes clashing with spears and shields. But that was not the worst part, Lyra said. Your species wages war against itself. Constantly, endlessly. Every generation finds new reasons to fight. And with each war, you become more dangerous. She gestured at the hologram. It moved forward in time. The weapons changed. Bronze became iron. Iron became steel. The battles grew larger. The tactics grew more complex. In 200 years, you advanced more than most species advance in 2000, Lyra said. The scouting team calculated your growth rate. They projected it forward. The results were terrifying. The hologram showed stars now, star systems marked in red. They predicted that, within 10,000 years of achieving space travel, humanity would control a significant portion of the galaxy. Not through peaceful expansion. Through conquest, through war. Through the same persistence that lets you chase prey until it falls. Tay felt cold despite the warm air. That is just a prediction. It does not mean it would happen. They believed it would, Lyra said. But there was more. Something that disturbed them even more than your wars and your growth. The hologram changed again. This time it showed humans with animals. Dogs walking beside them, horses carrying them, cattle being herded. You take apex predators from your own world and make them your servants, Lyra said. Wolves that could tear out your throats. You turn them into loyal companions. Horses that could crush you with a single kick. You ride them into battle. Every dangerous creature on your world, you found a way to control. Hannah spoke quietly. We call it domestication. The scouting team called it something else, Lyra replied. They called it proof that humanity would not be satisfied until everything was. Under their control, animals, land, worlds, stars, nothing would be beyond your reach. The hologram faded. Lyra swam closer to the platform. When the scouting team returned with their report, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. They had to decide what to do with humanity. What were the options? Tay asked. His voice was steady, but inside he felt sick. There were three. The first was to make contact and guide your development. Help you grow peaceful. Lyra paused. This option was rejected. The scientists believed your nature could not be changed. War was built into your species. The second option? Hannah asked. Sterilization, Lyra said simply. Destroy your world before you could become a threat.
Ow.
The word hung in the air. Tay felt Hannah tense beside him. Sterilization. They had considered wiping out all of humanity while humans were still learning to write. That option was nearly approved, Lyra continued. The vote was very close. But in the end, the third option was chosen. What was the third option? Do nothing. Watch and wait. Seal all records. Forbid any contact. Lyra's silver eyes seemed sad. The council decided that engaging with humanity in any way was too dangerous. If you learned the galaxy existed, you might accelerate your development. If you were attacked, you might unite against a common enemy and become even more dangerous. The safest choice was to pretend you did not exist. She waved her hand. The hologram reappeared one final time. It showed a document with ancient symbols. This is the original order from 2,000 years ago. It was distributed to every species in the assembly. 3 words defined your classification. Tay read them aloud. Do not rank. Do not categorize. Do not provoke. You were not excluded from the Apex Predator Index because you were weak, Lyra said. You were excluded because ranking you would mean acknowledging you. And acknowledging you meant preparing for the possibility of war. Hannah crossed her arms. They were afraid that if they ranked us, we would try to climb the list. Lyra shook her head slowly. No, they were afraid that if they ranked you, you would reach the top. And then you would keep going. An alarm suddenly filled the room. Red light flashed through the water. Lyra's body went rigid. "What is happening?" Tay demanded. Lyra swam to a terminal built into the wall. Her movements were urgent now, all grace forgotten. "Ships," she said. "Military vessels. They have just entered the system." "Whose ships?" Lyra turned to face them. Her expression was grim. "Drexari warships. 20 of them. Drex has declared humanity an unranked threat to the galaxy." She paused. "He is invoking his right as a rank 3 predator to challenge your species." Tay felt the world shift beneath him. Challenge. What does that mean? "It means combat," Lyra said. "Under galactic law, a ranked species can test an unranked one to determine their placement. If you refuse, humanity will be classified as prey. You will have no rights, no protection. Any species can do what they want to you, and if we accept..." Lyra's silver eyes met his. "Then you must fight. And if you lose, the result is the same." Hannah stepped forward. Her face was calm, her voice steady. "How do we accept?" Lyra looked at the small human woman. For a moment, something flickered in her ancient eyes. It might have been respect. "Come with me," Lyra said. "The assembly is gathering. Your answer must be given before them all." As they left the water-filled chambers, Tay's mind raced. Everything had changed in moments. They had come here seeking friendship and found themselves facing judgment. The galaxy had been afraid of humanity for 2,000 years. Now it was time to show them if that fear was justified. The grand chamber of the Galactic Assembly was enormous. Seats rose in great circles around a central platform, climbing so high that the uppermost rows were lost in shadow. Thousands of aliens filled those seats. Some whispered to each other. Others sat in silence. All of them watched the platform below. Tay stood on that platform. Beside him was Hannah. Across from them stood Drex, his scaled body gleaming under the lights. Behind Drex, visible through massive windows, his warships hung in space like predators waiting to strike. The speaker of the assembly was a creature made of crystalline light. Its voice echoed through the chamber without any apparent source. "Drex of the Drexari Empire has issued a formal challenge to the species known as humanity. Under galactic law, this challenge must be answered. Envoy Kong Tay, you speak for your people. What is your response?" Every eye in the chamber turned to Tay. He could feel the weight of their attention. The fate of his entire species rested on what he said next. But before he could speak, Hannah stepped forward. "Accept the challenge," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Some laughed. Others seemed confused. Drex stared at Hannah with open surprise. "You," Drex said. "You are just one human, and a small one at that. I expected soldiers, warships, armies." "I am all you need," Hannah replied. Tay grabbed her arm and pulled her close. "What are you doing?" he whispered urgently. Hannah looked at him. Her eyes were steady. "Trust me. This is what I was trained for. Not just to protect you. To protect everyone, you cannot beat him. He is twice your size. He is a warrior from a species that has conquered worlds." "I know," Hannah said. "But winning is not always about being the strongest." "You taught me that," Speaker's voice cut through the noise. "The challenge has been accepted by Yunhana of Earth. Drex, what is the nature of your challenge?" Drex smiled. His teeth looked even sharper than before. "Survival combat. No weapons. No armor. We fight until one of us cannot continue. The arena has been prepared." The arena was an asteroid that had been converted into a battlefield. Machines had carved canyons and caves into its surface. Gravity generators kept everything anchored to the rock. Cameras floated everywhere, broadcasting the fight to every corner of the galaxy. Hannah stood at one end of the main arena floor. She had removed her jacket and stood in simple clothes. Her feet were bare against the cold stone. She looked small and fragile under the harsh lights. Drex stood at the other end. He had removed his armor, but it hardly mattered. His scales were thick enough to stop most weapons. His claws could tear through metal. His muscles were built for explosive power. The entire galaxy watched. Begin. Announced a mechanical voice drudged. He moved faster than any creature his size should be able to move. His clawed feet tore chunks from the stone floor. His arms reached out, ready to grab and crush. Hannah did not run. She stepped to the side at the last moment. Drex's claws missed her by inches. She struck him once in the side as he passed. It was not a hard blow, just a test. Drex spun and attacked again. This time, his claws found their target. He raked across Hannah's back, tearing through cloth and skin. Blood splattered on the stone. Hannah stumbled but did not fall. She turned to face him again. Drex laughed. First blood. This will be over quickly. He attacked again and again. Each time, Hannah dodged what she could and took what she could not avoid. Cuts appeared on her arms. A bruise swelled on her face. One of her ribs cracked with an audible snap, but she did not fall. Every time Drex knocked her down, she got back up. Every time he thought she was finished, she stood again. An hour passed. Drex was still fighting at full strength. Hannah was covered in blood and bruises. The watching aliens expected her to collapse at any moment, but something strange was happening. Drex's attacks were growing slower. Not by much. Just a fraction. But Hannah noticed. She always noticed. The Drexery were built for explosive power. They could charge, strike, and kill in seconds. But they were not built for long fights. Their metabolism burned hot and fast. They needed rest between bursts of activity. Humans were different. Humans could keep going. Humans could chase prey across entire continents. Humans could work all day and still have strength to work all night. Humans did not stop. 2 hours in, Drex was breathing hard. His attacks came less often. His movements were slower. He could not understand what was happening. He had fought dozens of species. None of them had lasted this long. Hannah was still standing. She was hurt. She was tired, but her eyes were still sharp, still watching, still learning. She had studied Drex throughout the fight. She knew his patterns now. She knew when he would attack and how. She knew where his scales were thickest and where they were weak. She started to fight back. Her strikes were not powerful. They did not need to be. She hit the soft spots between his scales. She targeted his joints. She aimed for his eyes. Each blow was small, but together they added up. 3 hours in, Drex was barely moving. His body was not designed for this. His muscles screamed for rest. His lungs burned for air. But every time he paused, Hannah hit him again. She did not let him recover. She did not give him peace. How? Drex gasped. How are you still standing? Hannah wiped blood from her eyes. One of them was swollen shut. Her left arm hung at a wrong angle. She looked like she should be dead. Because I do not stop, she said. None of us do. We chase. We hunt. We pursue. We keep going until the prey falls. She took a step forward. That is what we are. That is what we have always been. Drex tried to raise his arms. They would not obey. His body had nothing left to give. He fell. The massive warrior collapsed to the stone floor. His chest heaved as he fought for breath. But he could not stand. He could not fight. He could not continue. Hannah walked to him slowly. Every step hurt. Every breath was agony. But she made it. She did not kill him. She did not even hit him again. Instead, she sat down beside him on the cold stone floor. The cameras captured everything. Billions of beings across the galaxy watched as the small human woman sat next to the fallen warrior. You thought being a predator meant being the strongest? Hannah said. Her voice was tired but steady. It does not. Being a predator means never giving up, never stopping, always adapting. She looked directly at the nearest camera. We do not need to be ranked. We do not fight for position. We fight to survive, and we never stop. Silence filled the arena. Then, slowly, sounds began to come from the audience sections. Not cheering. Not anger. Something else. The sound of thousands of beings shifting uncomfortably in their seats. The sound of fear turning into something new. Respect. Back on the station, the Grand Chamber was in chaos. Species were withdrawing their objections to humanity. Diplomats were demanding emergency sessions. Everything had changed in a single moment. Tay watched it all from a viewing platform. He had not moved during the entire fight. He had barely breathed. Vorin appeared beside him. The archivist's mandibles clicked nervously. "Envoy Kong," Vorin said quietly, "the Council has reached a decision about your species. They would like to see you immediately." Tay looked at the screen where medical teams were carrying Hannah away. She was unconscious now, finally allowing herself to rest. "Is she going to live?" Tay asked. "Yes, her injuries are severe but not fatal. She will recover fully." Vorin paused. "She is remarkable. She is human," Tay said simply. "We all are." He turned and followed Vorin toward the council chambers. Whatever decision they had made, he would face it. Humanity had proven something today. Not that they were the strongest, not that they were the fastest, but that they would never give up. And sometimes, that was enough. 1 week had passed since the fight on the arena. The Galactic Assembly Station had not returned to normal. Tay doubted it ever would. Everywhere he walked, aliens watched him differently now. The fear was still there, but it had changed. Before, they had looked at him like he was a monster hiding in human form. Now, they looked at him like he was something they did not understand, something they wanted to understand. Some even approached him. They asked questions about Earth, about human history, about how a species so small and soft had survived on a world so dangerous. Tay answered them as best he could. Each conversation felt like building a tiny bridge. Hannah was recovering in the medical wing. Her injuries had been severe, but the alien doctors were skilled. They had repaired her broken bones, healed her torn muscles, and restored her damaged eye. She would carry scars, but she would be whole. Tay visited her every day. Today, when he entered her room, she was sitting up in bed and reading reports on a datapad. "They want to give me a medal," Hannah said without looking up. "The Drexery, I mean. Apparently, losing to me was the most honorable thing that has happened to Drex in years." Tay sat down in the chair beside her bed. "How do you feel about that?" Hannah finally looked at him. Her face still had fading bruises, but her eyes were bright and clear. "Strange. I beat him, and now he wants to be friends. I do not understand warrior cultures." "I think you understand them better than you realize," Tay said. "You showed him something he respects. Strength is not just about power. It is about will." Hannah set down the datapad. "Have they decided?" "The council?" Tay nodded. "That is why I came." Vorin sent a message. "They want us in the Great Archive in 1 hour. Both of us. Can you walk?" Hannah swung her legs over the side of the bed. She was still stiff, still careful with her movements. But she stood without help. "I can do more than walk," she said. 1 hour later, they stood in the Great Archive. The same room where Tay had first searched for answers, but today it was different. Today, the entire Galactic Council was present. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the space. Cameras floated everywhere, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy. Vorin stood at a central podium. The archivist no longer seemed nervous. He seemed resigned, like a being who had accepted that the universe was about to change. "Envoy Kung Tay, Security Officer Yoon Hana." Vorin's voice carried through the chamber. "You have been summoned to witness a historic moment. After 2,000 years, the Council has made a decision regarding your species classification." The chamber fell silent. Every being held their breath. "The Apex Predator Index has served the galaxy for millennia," Vorin continued. "It has ranked species from 1 to 50 based on their threat level. It has helped maintain order and prevent conflicts. But recent events have shown that this system is incomplete." He pressed a control. A holographic display appeared above them. It showed the familiar list of ranked species. But at the very top, above rank 1, was something new. The council has created a new category, Vorin announced. Category 0, Existential Concern. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Tay stared at the display. Only one entry appeared in Category 0. Humanity, Earth's Sol System, this is our file? Tay asked. Yes. Vorin gestured, and the entry expanded. The council has debated for 7 days. They reviewed all historical records. They analyzed the fight on the arena. They considered everything humanity has accomplished in your brief history. This is their conclusion. The full entry appeared for all to see. Classification. Persistence. Predator Adaptive Threat Assessment. Incalculable recommendation. Integrate. Cooperate. Do not antagonize. Historical. Note this species was marked do not rank for 2 millennia. Recent events have proven this classification insufficient. Humanity does not compete for dominance. Humanity redefines it. Hannah read the words and laughed. It was a genuine laugh, full of surprise and disbelief. Existential concern. That sounds bad. Sounds accurate, said a familiar voice. Drek stepped forward from the crowd. He moved slowly, still recovering from his own injuries. But his posture was different now. The arrogance was gone. In its place was something that looked almost like humility. He stopped in front of Hannah and bowed his head. It was a gesture Tay had never seen a Drexery make. I owe you a debt, Drek said. You defeated me in fair combat. More than that, you showed me what true strength looks like. My people will honor this debt. Whatever humanity needs, the Drexery will provide. Hannah blinked. I did not expect that. Neither did I, Drex admitted. But my people respect power. And what you showed on the arena was the greatest power I have ever seen. Not the power to destroy, the power to endure. He extended his clawed hand. Tay had briefed him on human customs. A handshake. Hannah took his hand and shook it firmly. Thank you, Drex. I hope we can be allies. We already are, Drex replied. Lyra glided forward from the crowd. Her movement was graceful, almost dreamlike. She came to rest beside Tay. The young ones thought they were discovering a new species, she said softly. They were wrong. They awakened an old one. A species that has been fighting for survival since the moment you first walked on your dangerous world. Tay looked at her. What happens now? Everything changes, Lyra replied. Treaties will be rewritten. Alliances will be reconsidered. The balance of power in this galaxy has shifted, and everyone knows it. Else. She paused. But that is not necessarily bad. Sometimes change is needed. Sometimes the old order must fall so something better can rise. The ceremony continued for another hour. Diplomats approached to offer friendship. Scientists asked permission to study human history. Military commanders inquired about potential cooperation. The galaxy that had ignored humanity for 2,000 years suddenly wanted to know everything about them. When it was finally over, Kay and Hannah found a quiet observation deck overlooking the stars. Through the transparent walls, they could see Earth's sun in the distance. Home was out there, tiny and fragile-looking against the endless black. Category 0, Hannah said. She leaned against the window. Existential concern. I wonder how the people back home will react. Tay stood beside her. They will probably be proud, and terrified, and confused. All at once? That sounds about right. Hannah was quiet for a moment. Do you think they will ever stop being afraid of us? The other species, I mean? Tay considered the question carefully. He thought about everything they had learned. The ancient report that called humans persistent predators, the warning to never provoke them. The 2,000 years of deliberate ignorance. No, he finally said. I do not think the fear will ever completely go away. We are too different. Too unpredictable. They will always wonder what we might do. That seems sad. Maybe. But fear is not the only thing they feel now. Looked at her. Drex respects you. Lyra admires you. Even Vorin seems almost comfortable around us. Fear can become something else over time. It can become understanding. Even trust. Hannah smiled slightly. You sound like a diplomat.